Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's episode of Way Back When. I'm your host, Cody Flesher. Tonight we're traveling back in time to the oh-so-distant year of 2008, the year of Ugg boots, fake nerd glasses, and the debate over whether you rooted for a particular vampire or a certain werewolf. But casting pop culture aside, I'd like to draw your attention to a cult classic television program adapted from the pages of the Sword of Truth series by the late Terry Goodkind. Legend of the Seeker. Imagine with me, if you will, that you live in a land of three provinces, controlled by an evil, magical tyrant. His thirst for blood and sadistic torture knows no bounds, and his armies are slowly decimating and subjugating the populations. But hope has a warrior. A prophecy reveals that a baby will be born in a town, Brenadin, who will kill this tyrant and unite the three territories. Enter the Seeker, Richard Cypher. Now, I'm not going to sit here and spoil the story for you. I'm just going to tell you what this tale meant to me. So, back in 2008, I found this series completely by accident. My sister and I were surfing the television on the down low because, parents and television and whatnot. But we happened to catch it in the middle of season 8. Season 8. I wish. Episode 8. So, I was like, this is cool. I'm going to check it out. So I went to college the next day and went to the library. Must have been around finals exams times because I had a big chunk of time where I didn't have anything to do. So I went to the library and I pulled up the stream. And I sat there and I streamed the other 7 episodes. And by the time I had gotten into the second episode, I had this gathering of like 10 people around me. They're like, what is this show? So I guess it was my original following. So, yeah, but after that, I was hooked. But unfortunately, a bad thing happened after season 2. The company that distributed it, Tribune something or another, Tribune, they went bankrupt. And so ABC was like, oh crap, we need to find a new syndication station for our hero here. So they went and they shopped it to a bunch of syndication companies and had no bites at all. So this is when the Seeker group started forming on Facebook, and we decided to start a Save Our Show campaign. Well, it started out with a trying to break a Guinness Book of World Records for the greatest number of posts on replies to a single Facebook post, and we got up to 2,500,000 before we realized that there was already one in India that had broken that record, and it was about 5 million. And we're like, okay, that's it's not going to work. We're going to be here a while. So then we started to coalesce, and we developed a plan to reach out to the individual studios and production companies and whatnot and say, hey, we're still here. We're still interested in reviving this show. Would you please be interested in picking it up? We reached out to ABC, CBS, the whole 9 yards. We reached out to Sci-Fi, and they seemed interested. And in fact, I believe that they were actually working on a deal with ABC to get the rights. And for some reason, it fell through. And we were back at square one. So we started recollecting our thoughts. And we thought, oh, I know what we can do. We can get people from all over the world to have signs of the symbol of Legend of the Seeker. Well, you can't see my hand, but I'm pointing over to my other screen. And so what we did was we started the Pass It On campaign, where a person would hold up a paper with the Legend of the Seeker symbol, and it had Pass It On written on the bottom of the paper. So they would film themselves, and a couple of the fans wrote a piece called Hey There Seeker to the tune of Hey There Delilah. And so as the song was playing, the fan would pretend to pass it off screen, and the next person would grab it and then bring it on into the frame. So that gained us a lot of traction in building the fan base. Now, talking about fans, during the run of the show garnered anywhere between 1.7 and 2.1 million fans a week. Now, comparing it to a show like Game of Thrones, those are probably considered relatively average or pitiful numbers, depending on who you ask. But I think it's a pretty strong fan base, and the rest of us do too. So it's why we've continued to fight for it. But we have decided that we've reached a roadblock with television production. We tried to start a fundraising campaign, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, one of those types, to raise funds to maybe film an episode. And we realized that just to fly a helicopter up in the air to do cameras. Now, these days, you could probably use drones and make it cheaper, but at that time they didn't have probably good enough drones. But anyway, to fly a helicopter in the air for a camera for like 100 feet was $10,000. And we're like, oh, nope, that's not going to work. I think we read that each episode cost about $2 million to produce. So there was no way we were gonna bankroll that ever. So now we've come to the conclusion that it is greatly possible that with support and with interest and with an army, we could get on the silver screen and make a movie just to wrap up the story. Feel a sense of closure. It's escaping my mind. It's not Firefly that they did that with. Shoot. I don't remember. But it would be a victory if we could get a movie made that would help us wrap up and get some closure, because while they finished the story, everything was sealed up, there were still loose ends that could have been tied up and wrapped to make it where we felt satisfied with it. And so that was our original goal. And now, with it being 10 years down the line, we're thinking, why not just reboot it? We don't have to have, again, I'm trying to point to the screen. we don't have to have Craig Horner, Bridget Regan. I'm sorry, I forget Chase's actor's name. Jay Ligal. Sorry, I probably murdered that. Bruce Spence, Bridget Tabbert Bethel. Sorry. I'm getting them all confused. We don't have to have those actors because they've gone on to different projects, but we could recreate it with new actors that would be, for the bookies, closer to how they think the characters are in the books. But that is our goal. And so I am here to ask you if you are interested in seeing Legend of the Seeker on the silver screen in the near future. We must make our voices heard. We cannot let the Keeper win. We cannot let Dark and Raw win. We cannot let the Daharan forces win. We have to be loud, and we have to gain numbers. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dogs, probably your cats too, but they may not care. They'll probably curl up on the sofa and just go to sleep. But we need all of you to come join us on Bring Back Legend of the Seeker on Facebook. And let's do this. I'm Cody Flesher. This is Way Back When. Peace and God bless.